And now we are trying to see how do we bring some of that into our books and
Yeah.
conversations that our books can enable for families.
Hello, beautiful people. Welcome back to Parenthood Spotlight, where we celebrate inspiring parents and the incredible things they do. Today's guest is someone truly remarkable. Shravya, a parent whose creativity and resilience have not only enriched her own parenting journey, but also holds a promise to touch countless others through an upcoming children's book series called The Girl with the Red Hearing Aids, inspired by her experiences with her daughters Divi and Urvi. The series will feature Tara, a protagonist who embodies curiosity, inclusion, and resilience. And Shravya is currently busy bringing Tara's world to life through a vibrant website and an Instagram channel. Shravya, welcome to Parenthood Spotlight.
Thank you for having me, Neha.
Shravya, just to start, can you tell us about your parenting journey and how it has shaped who you are today?
Sure, I'll try. But whatever you just told about me was a little overwhelming. I want to clarify or maybe correct that all parents are remarkable in some form or shape, right? We all try to give our best, and
Yeah,
there is no benchmark, there is no comparison, there is no what is better than the best that we do.
right.
And having said that, though, of course, I think becoming a parent changes you in multiple ways, and we've all seen changes, right? We've made career pivots. I moved countries. I'm raising a family in another country where I did not grow up in. So
Yeah.
we've learned a lot of things as we encounter these experiences and opportunities. But I think becoming a parent is completely different from what we think it is, or there is, everybody says this, right? There is no guidebook, and
Yeah.
things change, and what works for your family doesn't work for somebody else. What worked for our parents doesn't work for us today. And all of that is true in different senses. But again, I did not expect that life will change in so many ways, and we'll get to know so much more about ourselves, about humans in general, about how we navigate and how families navigate various scenarios. So I just don't know if I can quantify or tell exactly what has changed,
Yeah.
but I know that I'm a completely different person physically, mentally, the strength that I never thought I had, the I've learned about life in general.
Yeah.
And incidentally, Neha, the more I talk about this to my other friends who are mothers now, and I've known them since when they were like us, clueless. Of course, we're still clueless, but trying to understand life. And, we spoke about everything growing up. And now when we talk about becoming mothers, I realize that each one of us has embraced it very differently. And there is no right or wrong. There is no this is the way you should try, or that is the way that might work. So that is the most fascinating aspect of parenting that I feel it is like, it just can uh, take any direction. And at the end of the day, everybody feels like, oh gosh, this is so different from who we were. So, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And also I really loved what you said, it changes us in so many ways. But if you could now tell us about the people who changed you. So Divi and Urvi, who they are as people, what are they like?
Oh gosh. Their energy levels are inversely proportional to anybody's energy levels, I feel, to begin with, right? So late at night at 9 o'clock, when you want to wind out the day, they're like up with full energy and whatnot. And then there are times when you're like, please sleep for 10 more minutes. It's Sunday morning, and then they want to be up and whatnot. So I think one beautiful thing is that they're always happy. There
Yeah.
are these little moments when they're sad versus us who have to like look for moments and opportunities to be happy or do something cheerful, right? So I feel like that kind of balances us, where in a sense that you just look at them with that joy. I don't
Yeah.
even know what makes them happy, right? Sometimes
Yeah.
it's just about something is sticking onto the wall and they like burst out laughing about it. And, these small little things. And then you're like, that is what it is.
Yeah.
Life can be that.
Yeah.
Whereas we try so hard for multiple things. And of course, I mean, we can't get very philosophical because that's just how life is. But I feel like ultimately all that joy and that curiosity and that selfless and sincere way of how they look at life, and then they become these kids that you're like not able to recognize after a while. And then I don't know what future holds. Like Urvi is 6.5 now, and
Yeah.
Divi is little over 4. So I'm still, and both of them are so different from each other, and I'm just learning a lot. In general, I feel like learning, unlearning, which like relearning, which happens for all of us. But both of them are actually born with a hearing condition. So they
Mm-hmm.
have something called as bilateral sensory moderate hearing loss, which can change. We don't know. The diagnosis is still on. They're still young, and they're responding to clinical diagnosis. So that I think has been one single most aspect which has really shaped our family and our parenting style. Again, both of them have the same condition, so I don't have any benchmarking of what normal
Right.
kids and normal families with normal kids or parents of normal hearing kids feel like, regular hearing kids rather. This so they both of them use hearing aids. And then uh, for Urvi, I think they diagnosed it on like day 2, and then they confirmed the diagnosis on day 5. And then we had to go through multiple rounds, and the diagnosis is still on. But the bottom line I'm trying to say is that it was bittersweet for us, right? We didn't know what to expect. We didn't know what to um, how to go about with it. We did not even understand what it meant to begin with. So I think that, and I specifically call that out because I think all my life, and I think my husband would agree with that because we discussed this multiple times. We've never thought about sense organs like that,
Mm. Mm.
right? Fortunately or unfortunately, we've not had those experiences in our family or with our friends in the inner circle that you have. You know of them, you've read of it, but when it happens, especially to your child, I feel like
Yeah.
it is very different. There are so many times you listen to moms, or you as a mother must have felt this, right? They're like, why did they hit the table? Instead, it should have just happened to. It should have been something else. Just because they hit the table and the toe is hurting or whatever, it's like so avoidable. We should have just avoided that. We could have like planned it better or controlled
Yeah.
something or things like that for small things, right? And this is completely random,
Yeah.
and you do not know how you could have controlled the outcome or what it would have been otherwise. So I think it took us quite some time to first of all accept it,
Hmm.
second of all embrace it,
Hmm.
and then be like, hey, I don't think we'll ever know why it happened and
Yeah.
why it happened to our kids. So
Yeah.
initially, reason kicks in, your rationality kicks in. You'll try to go back, and at least I tried to go back. Oh, that was one time I took an anti-allergic something, or was it because of that during? Because the rest of my pregnancy was very whatever textbook like. Or I went back in time to think about what could I have done
Yeah.
differently. Perhaps I traveled way too much for work during my pregnancy, and somebody was like, oh, that's what happened, like you shouldn't have traveled so much, you should have taken care of yourself. And then you'll think about that. And then there were people who talk about karma, who are like, this happened because I did something at some point in time. Or and there are various schools of thought again, right?
Yeah.
Like, and these are all people in your own circle. They're all your
Yeah.
well-wishers, your friends and family. So and then your brain also goes in multiple ways. But I think two things. I think I want to say two things, right? One is definitely accepting the randomness of life.
Yeah.
It took us a while to understand, or at least we believe that is the truth of our family. Maybe there is more to this, and I don't even know if we want to know. But at this point in time, we've made peace that this is a random act of life. And then how do we live with it? And second is just understanding that sense organs as, let's say, they're tools in your toolkit, right?
Yeah.
And if your child is born with like one tool less in the toolkit,
Wow.
is different from how you would think about it, right? But it took me a very long time to understand that if this is not it, then there would have been something else, perhaps, or something else, right? So it. just accepting, like I said, embracing that this is just our reality.
Yeah.
And then now what do we do next
Yeah.
was a lot more future looking, and it helped us uh, just having a plan and understanding what we want to do next gave me the boost, which I think, like I said, I took some while to get there. I hope this.
Yeah, yeah. I want to ask a follow-up question on this, Shravya. You said a very important thing. Even I didn't ever think of it this way. Probably experience makes you think that way. That sense organs are just a tool, and you having one tool less in your toolkit, probably that's how you navigate the world then. But do the girls know what they are missing, or do they have a sense, or is it like by seeing everyone around them, are they getting to know what they're missing, or how does it work?
Yeah. Um, so they both of them use hearing aids. So
Uh-huh.
they do know that they have to use extra tools,
Yeah,
and it's a part of their reality.
yeah,
So to begin with, they are aware that they have to use hearing aids, and we've always taken a comparison to say, hey, I have to use glasses because they help me see better. You have to use hearing aids because they help you listen better.
yeah,
They do not, again, they do not have a benchmark because they're
yeah.
born with it. It's not like progressive or it happened later in life because of whatever reasons. So those are the hearing levels with which they're born. So I don't know they would know what natural hearing or regular hearing would be like, but they definitely know that they cannot hear everything that they want to without the hearing aid. So they've tried, experimented, and I think Urvi, now that she's in kindergarten or she's in first grade now, and she's gone to like a regular school with kids who like, she was pretty much the only one who uses hearing aids in her grade,
Hmm.
the entire grade, and which is like 4 or 5 class, right? So she definitely notices that she needs these tools, which others in her immediate friend circle and grade do not need it.
Right.
So yeah, to your point, I think they definitely notice that they need it. But also, thanks to technology, right? I mean, it is amazing the amount of progress hearing aids have made, and now you have like Apple phone, which is helping you almost replicate some of this. And then you have your lots. And I mean, I don't even want to get into the amount of options that people have, but pediatric hearing aids are still not there yet, but they're doing a
Yeah.
great job. And that is another area where we as a family have decided to talk about it always. Like, we do not, there is no hush hush. There is no talking on the back about what it is, or if family asks, or if anybody asks what they are, they themselves are able to advocate and tell why they need hearing aids, what they are. So that is something that we've made sure that as like there is we just wanted to be very open about it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
in fact, I've signed them up for a bunch of research studies in the university here, where pediatric child development, or even disabilities studies, and trying to understand how does academic caliber ties back to hearing loss, for instance, because it is so important to be able to listen, to understand concepts, and language, nutrition, and all of those concepts which are already very evolved. So
Right.
both my kids are often participating one weekend or the other in university studies, trying to help them do better with research and understand how technology is helping them, or lack of it. So there are lots of these experiments that they participate in. So they're very well aware that there is this important concept or component in their lives that they'll have to. I don't know if they're thinking about it as much in terms of comparison yet,
Yeah.
but they're definitely very aware to that
Yeah.
point.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And Shravya, it's very inspiring that you said there are multiple stages to it. When you first accept the reality, then embrace the reality, and then you get to kind of, now you're advocating for it. And I want to talk about the advocacy part. Tell us what inspired you to create the girl with the red hearing aids, and tell us more about her.
absolutely. And I hope I don't know where I want to go with it, Neha.
Yeah.
I am just glad that I'm able to partner with a few friends and get started to
Yeah.
begin with.
Yeah.
So I've spoken a little bit about grief, right? And many of my friends who are mothers now, fathers now, do experience some grief because of the change in identity, right? Or identity, change in yourself. You miss some parts of your past life. You were somebody to,
Yeah.
and you loved yourself then, you loved yourself now, even then, right? There are some parts of you that every parent is grieving, perhaps in a good way, in a bad way. I'm not saying whichever way, right? Then there are some parts of you that have completely changed, and we've
Yeah.
discussed some of that just now. So I think at some point I made the pivot. I was like, I'm going to focus on the things that have changed,
Yeah.
just to see how much has changed and why.
Yeah.
And then in that bit, I really wanted to uh, pay it forward. And when I say pay it forward, that's what I do with the research studies also, right? We as a family have decided to pay it forward to science,
Yeah.
whichever way. Please use my kids for
Yeah.
research, right? So it's in a similar fashion. We as a family met so many people through this journey, and strangers that we've never heard of, experts that we did not know existed, as 0 to 3 birth evaluators and early intervention services is what it's called here. And I'm sure it's there everywhere. I only know of my experiences here parenting in the US, right? So early intervention providers, speech pathologists, audiologists, and then there is this psychologist at the special school that they go to for the hard of hearing. And then there's so many people who've just played such an important role in us just able to even understand what all we need to do to begin with, right? And then you get into the, like I said, once we had a plan, once we know what to do, you're
Yeah.
just energized. You're like, now I know what to do. Let's just go do it. Right.
Yeah.
And then we as a family, when we managed to do that, and I just felt like there is just so much that we have learned and so much that we got a chance to experience. And I wanted to focus on that and be
Yeah.
like, okay, now that we got this opportunity, why don't we talk about it?
Yeah.
And I chose the medium of a book, haven't completed it or done or made as much progress as I wish I did by now, but definitely glad that at least I'm trying.
Yeah.
And like I said, I don't know where it'll land. I don't know how many people will read it, or I really don't know what I want to accomplish it with in terms of an author. But I
Right.
know what I want to accomplish as a parent is to share what I have learned.
Right.
So I want to be able to do, I don't know if I'll be doing justice to all that I want to share in this format or not. But nevertheless, I wanted to like make sure that we share uh, what we've been through as a family. So yeah.
And you talked about, as a family, this has been what you want to do. So, like, are there conversations around diversity and inclusion in your own family, like with the kids and with your husband and everybody together? Does this concept, not the implications of it, but the concept as such, come up in conversations?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I feel like kids, like you went back, going back to your question about what have you learned. I feel like kids question a lot, and every family with kids will tell you this, right? There's a lot of why in the life,
Yeah.
and then and it's been a while that we've questioned like that. We just have accepted and we've moved on, and we said, oh, okay, if somebody comes back and tells you that they're queer or LGBTQ, wherever on the spectrum, you listen to it, you respect it, and then that's it. There is
Yeah.
very few conversations about why, how did you get there? Did you, what was your path? We do it with some really good friends and we read about it, we look it up, we research, but we're not very comfortable with really open conversations. We do
Right.
not randomly go ask people, why are you wearing what you're wearing, for example, right? I mean, and there is good and bad for it as adults. But what I'm saying is that kids, I think, are a lot more open, and and they ask and they notice some things that we've taken for granted, or we've just decided to live with, or we thought it was inappropriate to talk about, or we decided that it is perhaps not our space or time to bring it up. And so these are the times when I've realized that there is so much unsaid in like the experiences around us. And so the going back to the questioning, there's been a lot of questioning about, we read a lot of books, we watch a lot of content here and there, correct? And they also are exposed to all kinds of people at school. So there are questions about names, and how some names are funny and how they sound different just because they don't know how to pronounce or they've not heard those
Yeah.
names before. There's a lot of conversation about skin tone and color and hair color, because they're at various races that they're exposed to on a day-to-day basis, and they're like, okay, why am I brown skinned, and why is somebody else with yellow hair and blue eyes? And these are just observations. And like I
Yeah.
said, we do not talk as, and when they bring this all up, there is inherently conversation about some of this. And we've also navigated a phase where there was lots of questions about why is this for girls, why is this for boys? And I'm sure every family has these conversations. But I feel like when they question more than anything else, we pause and we think
Yeah.
about some of these, and then you're like, okay, how do we explain or how do we bring this up?
Yeah.
So both my girls have started listening to Katy Perry for some
Hmm.
reason, and then I don't even know if it's a good thing or not
No, no.
so early, but so they were listening to Woman's World, and Urvi, the older one, is like, "What is she talking about a woman's world? That's not even fair. There should be everybody's world. How about a man's world?" And I was like, "So because it's not the same context. Like you and I, the minute she talks about women's world, you just go get it. Like you totally are into it, and you know exactly what she means because we've seen a certain context, which
True.
perhaps is not even apparent to them
Yeah.
because in and around them, it's a different reality that they're growing up in,
Right.
right? Or they learn about Martin Luther King or Rosa Parks at school, and it is tough to put race into a context that they know today, right? In
Yeah.
today's reality, when we are talking about Black Lives Matter, and of course all lives matter, it takes a long time to explain that no, Black Lives Matter, and then
Yeah.
let's talk about everything else, right? It is
Yeah.
very tough to bring these conversations into everyday questions that start from kids. And I feel like that is the space that we have explored, or rather tried to explore the most, or that is the part which was really different
Yeah.
for us. And now we are trying to see how do we bring some of that into our books and
Yeah.
conversations that our books can enable for families.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So coming to that, Shravya, tell us if Tara could walk into this room right now, what would she say or do?
Oh, that's nice. I think she'll definitely have an elaborate conversation about your beautiful bindi to begin with, because she's learned
Thank
a
you.
lot about that from people and India trip, and my mom and my mother-in-law and all of that. So she's keen. She's very observant, and then I'm sure she will look at all the books and the colorful office space that you have there, and she'll be like, Amma, your space is so boring. You have like a plain wall, and that's not even colorful. And look at that. So she'll definitely talk about that. And then she will, I think I want to believe she'll ask about all of those things that are on
Yeah.
the wall, and she'll definitely
Mm.
talk, would want to know the story behind it, I
Yeah.
would think.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
I'm so enamored by one thing that you said right now, Shravya. You said I asked you about Tara, and you said she will say, "Amma, you have a white wall." So you are literally it's just the names are different, but we are talking about Urvi when we talk about Tara. So Tara, I'm very very sure she's heavily inspired. Not just inspired, she's literally Urvi in a different name. Is that so?
I mean, definitely the inspiration is from our girls. I mean, no two ways about that. And in fact, the name also. So Tara was one of the names that we finalized for Urvi
Wow.
at some point in time. So Ravi, my husband, is a big fan of stars, all things stars. Like he'll drive any number of hours to go see some stars, right? So Tara was one of the names, and then it just so ended up that we wanted to think of naming uh, Urvi behind or more of an element.
Yeah.
So then Earth came in, and then we thought about Urvi, and there were a few other names, like that. And then for Divi means sky. So Urvi is earth and Divi is sky, and that was then
Wow.
Divi came up. But yeah, so her name being Tara is deliberate, where this could have been Urvi's name. Definitely inspired by Urvi for the most part, because it was when she started going to kindergarten and started asking us these specific questions, and then we navigated through play dates, navigated through families who did not know anything about hearing loss, where we had to tell them things that they need to do during the play date, or things that they need to be aware of if Urvi doesn't respond in a certain fashion, or even for teachers where we had to tell them about the accommodations needed, is when it really hit us hard. Till
Yeah.
then, Urvi went to a special school for deaf and the hard of hearing, where everybody knows exactly what to do. So we were
Yeah.
the ones learning that time. We were like,
Yeah.
okay, this seems like everybody is figured out, and we are the ones who need to figure this out. And
Yeah.
now, when she went to the neighborhood school, and like I said, she's the only one in the entire grade, her grade, who uses hearing technology. And that was when we realized that there are so many kids who do not know
Yeah.
uh, what she's, using, why she's using them, what is her
Yeah.
reality, what does noise mean to her, why is it why should she sit in the first seat and be closer to the teacher, and why does the teacher have to wear a DM system? So there are all of these things which are her reality, right? She needs to charge her hearing aids. She needs to have a charging port at school. She has a charging port at home. So there are a lot of things that she needs to do for her day to be like anybody else's day,
Yeah.
right? So that's when we realize that there is a lot of opportunity for us to talk about this and make this the new normal for their
Yeah.
classroom to begin with.
Yeah.
Then came recess, when there are people from the other class who do
Yeah.
not know, who also meet her, and then there is corridors, and then there is so many other areas, right? And then okay, then we realize that there is more to this.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that's how it all started again. So
So what's
definitely,
Yeah. So what's your end game here? You said you don't know what you want it to look like, but why are you doing this? Why? What message or what do you hope to achieve by putting out these stories into the world?
um very tough question, Neha. I've been trying to think about this myself. It was very tricky. uh, Definitely focusing on bringing in some kind of awareness
Yeah.
to begin with, about kids with disabilities, and how there are different kids with different needs,
Yeah.
right? And the more we have these conversations at home, the more we can amplify those conversations outside in different environments.
Right.
Um, it can start anywhere. It can start at school. It can start at home. But it should happen at multiple areas. At the library for, let's say, a story time, or maybe there is some other way that they just chance upon this. For me, it doesn't matter where they're hearing the story, as long as they understand that what hearing aids are, and what Tara's life is, to a certain extent. But more importantly, I feel like Tara is more than just the hearing aids,
Yeah.
right? I think that is a part of her, and I want that to become like glasses, or like just another thing that a kid would need, or anybody, a person would need, because that helps them do something differently or something better
Right.
than what
Right.
they're able to, right? So going back to how what it should, like, what I'm hoping happens through this is to be able to um, facilitate families to have conversations about differences to begin with, right? And then two is that by the end of it, they should realize that Tara is just another kid, right,
Yeah.
who happens to use hearing aids.
Yeah.
So it starts with her differences, and it should, like, so she stands out because of her hearing aids, perhaps for a while, and then she is like everybody else. So
Yeah.
she is just another kid who has a normal day at school. She has her own apprehensions, her own excitements, and her own areas of whatever she's navigating, like anybody else's.
Yeah.
And that is what I'm trying to get to. And again, like I said, I don't know how we will get there. No path, no vision, no roadmap. As such, all I have is a name,
Yeah.
like and I'm hoping that we can achieve all of this through Tara's story.
Yeah. So now, since you said that, I'm very interested in the creative process that you have, or the lack of one, if you want to say that. But because you have a day job and you are a mom to two very, very, very energetic girls, and then you have other aspects of life that need taking care of, and then comes this whole bringing her story to life. So what is the process like? How do you do it? What has been some of the biggest challenges that you have faced?
Yeah, and you're right. I really do not have a process, but I'll
Mhm.
tell you how we are going about with it. So, first things first, the last thing I want to do is feel like this is a job or
Right.
there is a timeline, right? To your point, rightfully so, there are a few things which are we have to do, and it is what it is, right? So, if this becomes like that, then it becomes a chore or it becomes like something which I'm forcing myself to do. I think that will completely defeat the purpose. So I'm trying hard to keep the joy alive and to not feel like this is bound by something. The second thing is definitely, like I said, is most of it is inspired by our everyday conversations and what my girls bring back from school and from wherever they are at. So we are making notes as we speak, right? Like we talk about something today or yesterday or maybe a week ago. We're not very particular about or very diligent or disciplined
Yeah.
in that sense, but we mull over that. We think about, hey, these are the questions that are being asked. The people that I'm working with are friends to begin with. So one of my best friends from business school, and then of course you know that you are a part of it, Neha. So thank you. So the reason for bringing friends on board again is to, and mostly keen on bringing mothers on board is again because I think we get it. We are having these conversations in our own homes. We are mothers who are navigating that journey ourselves. Like I said, every family has their own story, has their own way of dealing with some of this. And I want us to be able to share what we are experiencing and share whatever we are learning in this process. So, again, keeping it very not formal, friends coming together, doing this with a sense of purpose more than anything else. Um, but at some point, we need to figure out a better way to do this, perhaps to get to what we are trying to achieve here. But having said that, it has been more of an exercise to bring everybody together so far. I think
Yeah.
now we will work towards putting in the effort in that direction. But yeah, a long way to go. We'll have to get better at perhaps doing some of this a little bit more deliberately,
Yeah.
uh, hoping to make
Yeah.
progress soon. Yeah.
Let's, okay, forget about the challenges. They'll come and go. But tell me something that has brought you the most joy while working on this project so far.
Um, I think it has been Urvi coming and checking on the progress. I
Oh,
feel like she believes in this more than any of us are. She knows that we are putting this together. Every time, uh, we make some progress, I share it with her and she looks at it and she's like excited about what is to come. I'm worried, a little bit worried about that also because I do not want it to be like, to your point, in my head, Urvi is Tara and Tara is Urvi, right? At some point, I'll have to work towards seeing how I want to develop that. Only because I want to protect Urvi
right.
and make sure that whatever happens, whichever way, we are doing what is right for the girls at the end of the day. In this age of AI, social media, whatnot, we all know where this could lead, right? That was one
Yeah.
of the intentions as well. So, Neha, I'm not sure if we're covering about that, but like I started running again
Yeah.
after like almost a 10-year gap for a marathon at least. I mean, I ran in between here and there for half marathons, but a full marathon was primarily again because of those grieving pieces that I was talking about.
Yeah.
After 10 years of moving to the US, I really wanted to do something which would feel like my past self, and which would just make me think about how I used to be or what I was. Especially, I took up a physical challenge, which I thought was in my control. And then when I was training for my marathon and when I was running, I was really thinking about how I have changed, and it was like act of mindfulness for me. And that was the time when I really thought about it, and how much I want to disassociate myself with it. But I think one single thing that has really, really changed for me is motherhood, right?
Right.
And who you become, and the and we've seen and heard a lot about motherhood penalty, about what comes with it, and I think there's enough said about it, and we all know that in some unique form or fashion we all relate to it, right? And
Right.
I remember Serena Williams when she retired, she wrote this article, and we were all like, oh gosh, we never thought. I mean, Serena Williams is somewhere else and we
Yeah.
know where we are, but
Right.
everybody could relate to what she had said, right? Word to word. I remember so many of our friends discussing that and be
Yeah.
like, oh gosh, she summed it up for all of us. And she really, but if she felt like that, imagine us, right? Like lesser
Yeah.
mortals, people like just trying to get by everyday life. And so that is the truth. And I say this again and again, right? Like I completely believe in equality. Of course, man and woman are equal, but we are wired very, very differently. Biologically, we are wired differently. I feel
Yeah.
like something just happens to us after we become mothers, right? It's not about rationality, it is not about reasoning, it is not that you're not ambitious. Some of them are career ambitious. It's not like you cannot pay for childcare or you can pay for childcare. It does not matter. I
Yeah.
don't think it is. And there are so many times my friends are like, oh, I wish I could clone myself, right? And
Yeah.
be at place. Why do we say that? Because I think we just want to be able to do it all,
Yeah.
right? So I think going back to your question of what gives you the most joy is that I think this is one outlet through which I am able to share one of the many changes that has happened to me. Right. Again, going back to the point of as much as I want to grieve about my old self, I also want to focus on these new elements that got added to my life. And I think this book series might give me the opportunity to focus on that thing and amplify it and share it beyond. So I think that's what I'm looking forward to.
And this is very inspiring, Shravya. I want to talk about, not you, you talked about, how you want to start the book with a girl who's different or who seems different, and then she kind of becomes a normalized, her differences are normalized and she becomes one of the other kids. So also talking about the broader themes and impact of the book series, in the coming editions, what do you think books like Tara's World and The Girl with the Hearing Aids are essential for today's children and families?
Yeah, I mean, that's a very interesting question, Neha, because just about the other day I was talking to somebody about what do books even mean in the age of AI created books, right? Like, what does content even mean? Like,
Yeah.
you do not even know how much of that is authentic anymore. What of the illustrations are authentic? Is it coming from somebody else's experiences or what? That's when I realized that I think it doesn't matter where
Hmm.
it comes from. Is it AI generated or is it human experiences led or is it some mother behind it who's feeling very emotional about the book writing? I think as long as it strikes the right chord and it does what it needs to do, so it should, the process perhaps doesn't matter anymore. Like if there's
Right.
a really good book which AI generated, if I enjoyed it and if I did what it has to do to me, does it really matter?
Hmm.
Right? And the reason I bring this up is again because I don't know if books is the format we want to go, or you've mentioned a website, Instagram stories. I wish there was more method to this madness that's happening in my head right now, but um, I just feel like that there is, it could be crowdsourced, it could be, I mean, there's just so many things that we think about, right? But
Yeah.
so I think as long as Tara's story is accepted and and people can understand, at least kids growing up, So this is what I always felt, Neha, that especially when my girls had to go to a special school, right, to learn how to use technology, how to advocate for themselves, to understand that their needs are different. We do so much for kids who are different to fit into
Yeah.
the normal world, right, or the
Yeah.
regular world. We do very little for the regular kids to understand the needs of the different ones, right? We
Yeah.
are doing a great job. I think schools and curriculums and books are doing a really good job. But I think what empathy and the amount of learning that you have when your classmate is one of them or your friend is one of, it's very different. Like
Yeah.
you, it actually becomes very different. So I want Tara to be this character that they all know.
Yeah.
Like I how I said, when I was growing up, I did not know of hearing loss, or I did not know of hearing loss or understand it as much. Even when I had my kids, right, I had to learn a lot of things, and our family has had to learn, and we had to share so much with everyone and all of that. So and I just, and if it was glasses, I don't think we would have thought so much, correct? Like we've all
Yeah.
seen so many more people with glasses, and we know, of course, there are some limitations. I'm running with my glasses. If I'm swimming, it's a different problem. Or if I'm doing something, of course, there are challenges with everything. But just that we've somehow accepted glasses,
Yeah.
and they've been mainstream. They've been enough heroes and characters created around it, or there is a style quotient with glasses, and it's just become a different thing altogether.
Yeah.
Hearing aids are not there yet,
Yeah.
especially for kids,
Yeah.
right? So I think some of this takes a while,
Yeah.
and and that's what I think. Ultimately, answering your question, I just want Tara to be that person in, let's say, some families where they do not see kids with other needs, or they do not know how to have these conversations, or those conversations don't come up at all. So if the family is reading the book together, or if the child has happened to chance upon this book, comes back home and talks about Tara to their parents, I think that is the job done. I mean, that's the mission to begin with. Yeah.
Yeah. And you talked about kids using the book as a conversation starter for these conversations. But what about parents using the books or whatever the Tara's world, as we call it, to as a tool to inspire deeper conversations? How do you see that?
Oh, absolutely. So I am assuming, or I am safely assuming, that when they look at some of the illustrations in the book, or when they talk about, or when they read about, like I said, Tara has to do a few things, right? She has to charge her hearing aids, put them on, and turn on the DM system at classroom. Or there are a few things which are quintessential for her to have a regular day. And when those things are spoken about in some form or fashion in the series,
Yeah.
right? Because it's a part of who she is, I want them to talk about technology that helps people with certain needs. I want them to talk about hearing happens to be one of the many disabilities, right? There are so many more, and I'm sure as parents, when we explain something, we give examples, we crystallize the concept, we try to make it simplify it, make it as relatable as possible. And that could perhaps be something else that their grandmother is using, or something else the neighbor is using, or they could draw parallels. And this is exactly
Right.
like what your grandfather uses, or whatever, right? So we want that to happen, so that again goes back to saying Tara is not very different. She's just somebody who we all know, and there's happened to be this, right? So I think as long as we are enabling that to happen, that will always continue to be better than not having any of these conversations in families, right? So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and Shravya, you might say that you don't have a plan, and but I am seeing it as a long lasting, forever kind of an endeavor where we just keep adding to the stories, and we could just keep enriching Tara's world with details and with scenarios. So here's my long short question to you. What do you hope the impact that Tara's world and these stories have on parents and children 10, 20 years from now? Or what do you hope it become? Do you like? I'm preempting some of it, that you said you constantly draw parallels to the glasses so do you see it as normalized as glasses are, hearing aids as normalized as glasses are, or is there some kind of a, more nuanced hope that you have?
Yeah, I mean, glasses is an easy parallel, Neha. You're right. I quoted it a few times. More importantly, I do not want any other parent 10 years from now to feel as lost if they get the news like how our family did.
Yeah,
Had we thought of hearing aids like glasses, we would have reacted very differently, perhaps for the first 18 months,
yeah,
right? We just felt lost. We felt like, oh gosh, we were dramatic. Like, oh my God, why did this happen to us? Or at the end of the day, all they're using is hearing aids, right? Of course, there are challenges with it, but it's not like it could have been worse, is what I'm trying to tell you. But at that point in time, as a new mother or a new parent, and if you hear that, oh gosh, this is hearing loss and she's born with it and whatever, it I needed some support system and I got it from a lot of people, thankfully. But what I'm trying to say is that if it was like glasses, when I first heard this news, I think I would have enjoyed my first 18 months of motherhood differently. Or
yeah,
at least I don't know if I would have enjoyed it because
yeah,
it is a lot of work, but I wouldn't have been so, scared for the future, so lost, so not knowing what it was. And and imagine the progress we've made that we decided to have another child,
yeah,
despite knowing that there is a 25% chance or whatever, we got a chance number that was thrown at us. But we were like, but if this is what it is, we don't mind having another kid, right? So I want that for other parents to be parents by then, to be like, this is nothing. There is so much more that could go differently, right? So I think that is what I hope. I hope Tara becomes this character who helps new parents or anybody who's not familiar with this feel like they can navigate it. If our family could, anybody should be able to. And again, we don't know enough. Like I said, the diagnosis is still on. I don't know how they will be when they're teenagers with their hearing aids. I don't know. They might. I mean, there are schools of thought which tell that you do not should not use technology for children. They need to make a decision when they're older if they want to use it or not, or they want to learn sign language. We've explored that as a family. So there is a lot more, and that's why when you said, "How do you see Tara evolving?" I want to bring all of that to life.
yeah,
How is a teenage Tara feeling like when she's thinking about her acne and whatnot? Is she also thinking about her hearing aids or her hair, which is like going to cover it or not cover it or get tangled in it, or I don't know
yeah,
how it happens and how she's going to think about it, or is she going to be like this whoever that is going to make do something more with science and hearing technology, or she's going to take inspiration from it and do some kind of work which might be truly inspiring for her. So there are lots of things I'm feeling that her hearing aids will inspire her to do as she evolves. And with her, I want everybody who knows Tara to evolve in that journey, right? So
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I am again struck by something you said. You don't know how Tara will evolve, because how you don't know how Urvi will evolve in life, right?
Yeah.
So now talking about the book as it is now, and the girl with the red hearing aids and the world around her, does it is it your expression of who Urvi is, or is it Urvi's expression of who Urvi is? What is it more like?
I'm, I mean, definitely inspired by Urvi, but Neha, there are a lot of questions and topic areas which I've gathered from a lot of other parents as
Right.
well.
Yeah.
Parents in general navigate gender conversations, they navigate so many of these questions that I was talking about because kids question. So it is the topic areas are crowdsourced, are sound. I mean, the more people get to know it, they will understand that it is something that happens across most families, not just families with who are navigating hearing loss or use hearing aids. Tara is more than just her hearing loss, like I said. So there
Yeah.
will be topic areas that will be beyond just that. So inspired by Urvi for sure. and her journey. But I think she would be any other child by the as it evolves, is what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And something that I want to touch upon, Shravya, you said, in your personal life, you said you knowingly made the decision to have another child, second child, and then getting to know that Divi was also born with the same condition or the similar diagnosis. Was it a surprise again?
It was not a surprise because we knew that there is a possibility now that Urvi's condition was diagnosed by then to a certain extent, and we got a percentage, like doctors have said that there's a 25% chance. We wanted to take that chance, right? I mean, that's how life is. We were like, okay, um, it wasn't a surprise, but it was definitely a reconfirmation that this is our reality, right? Even with one of them not having it, would have been a family which is still learning empathy for each other and for
Right.
differences. With both of them having it, fortunately or unfortunately, they have each other. They know
Yeah.
exactly what they must be feeling, what they're going through, and Urvi could be a walking, talking mentor, encyclopedia for Divi, right? And we definitely felt like we were a lot more prepared
Yeah.
for Divi's journey because we've taken care of a lot of things for Urvi, but the guilt was still the same,
Mm,
right? The guilt was more for Divi because this time we knew. I mean, for Urvi, it was okay, random act of life, right? We said, okay, we did not know, not our fault. She's here and now we're taking care of it. But for Divi, despite knowing, we
oh,
went through it. I mean, are we selfish people, right? Like we are bringing in another child, and what if Divi tomorrow sometime ends up asking us, like, knowing Urvi has it, why did you do this? I
yeah.
mean, what? So definitely, like I said, there was guilt the first time. I feel like the guilt the second time felt worse. Um, but this again, this is our reality. This is the girls' reality, right? I want to look at it like they have each other. I think, like I said, none of us understand till now what exactly they can hear, what they cannot. We are trying our best with diagnosis, with hearing aids, and all of those that we do. But I feel like they will get each other, perhaps. And when they navigate, at least they have each other to talk about it and to exchange notes or whatever that siblings do. Uh, I think that's our way of making peace with it. But it went back to the point that I often talk about control, right? You think that you have things in control. You think that you've done everything. You went to the doctors, you've got a genetic whatever percentage, you found out what it is. But it is what it is. It could have been 75% versus 25%. So there is no way in like we could know. There is some that's why it's called chance, right?
Yeah.
And then when it happens to you in life, then you realize that chance, data points, proof points, it, nothing matters. Just how it is. Like I said, it is what it is.
Yeah.
And this is our reality today. And it is very easy for me to talk like this because it's been a while and like I said, we've come a long way as a family, but we have a long, long way to go. I'm
Yeah.
sure there will be questions. I'm sure they'll come back and ask us some of these where we won't even be prepared and we wouldn't even know how to have these conversations. But I want to. I'm looking forward to how they will embrace their reality. Like we made peace with it.
Yeah.
I don't know if they know enough yet.
Yeah.
And when will they make peace? There are times when I'm running and I'm like, I wish I embraced contact lenses much before. And there are days when you're swimming and I wish I could see underwater and actually see those colors, whatever that is, right? So there are times when we talk about it with our glasses as well, right?
Yeah.
But so I don't know how they are going to deal with it. And that is, again, will be a learning journey for all of us.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
yeah. And you talked about, your journey, your learning journey, and I'm very interested to know that now, from what you know, I mean, with what you know now, if you could go back in time and tell your younger self one thing, what would be it?
I was always a planner. I still am a planner, right? I like to plan. I'd like to have like a view.
Mhm.
I cannot embrace ambiguity. Too much of it is like, whatever. Like I can deal with it, but in life, I mean, at work, it's a different scenario, but in
Yeah,
life, you want to. more plan. Uh, I would say, again, you think you're planning, you think there are a lot of things in control, you feel like you're doing everything that you can to uh, reduce the surprises in your life, but it will always, life will always surprise us, and we will surprise ourselves. My parents are surprised by how much we as a family have made progress. My
Mhm.
parents surprised me by how they've embraced this. My father, especially, the role he had played during all of this. So I think all through it's filled with a lot of surprises.
Yeah,
So I would have just told myself that there is only so much you can do. As
right.
long as you're at it, like you don't, like I don't want anybody to give up on
Yeah,
anything. As
yeah,
long as you're not giving up and be like, okay, this is like totally not in my control. So why are we even doing what we're doing? I don't want anybody to do that.
yeah,
But understand that there is only so much we can control.
yeah.
So I think that would be the only thing I would tell myself.
And what would
Yeah.
you tell the others? Probably the people listening to us right now or watching us right now. What would you tell them if you were to give a piece of advice?
Gosh, advice and all, I don't know. But I will, I will definitely ask people to try and embrace whatever their reality is.
Yeah,
It's easier said than done, but once we make peace, we just um, because I feel like when we're grateful for certain parts of our life, we should be grateful for all of it. We
yeah,
cannot pick and choose parts that I will be grateful for. So if this happened, again, random act of life, at least my school of thought is that most of life is random, right? So it isn't, so there is, again, going back, there's only so much you can do, right? And if you're grateful for some parts of your life, this random act is also a part of your life. So you
right.
just have to be grateful for all of it. And once we make peace, I feel like our best will just come out. Because now that we've made peace with what it is, and then you'll be like, okay, I'll continue to do what I'm going to do, and I'm going to be my awesome self. So how does it matter? Right? So, yeah,
Yeah, how beautiful is that, Shravya? How beautiful. I think you just sound like, so I don't know what's the word for it, but it's very, very inspiring to hear you talk. And I just want to go on forever, but we have come to an end to our conversation. Thank you so much for being here, for sharing your heart, your wisdom, and the magic of, the girl with the red hearing aids with us. Your journey is very, very inspiring, and I'm sure it will resonate deeply with our listeners and people who are watching us.
great. Thank you. Thank you so much again for the opportunity and all that you're doing for the girl with the red hearing aids. I
Thank you.
hopefully, yeah, we'll get there.
Yes,
We'll get to
we'll
some.
make it happen. We'll make it happen, and
Thank
we'll
you.
make it come alive very, very soon. And to everyone tuning in, thank you for joining us on this special episode of Parenthood Spotlight. If you enjoyed today's conversation, please subscribe, share, and leave us a review. Until next time, take care and remember, parenting may not always be perfect, but it's always worth it.